So here's Ellie and in Unity, and you can see that right here is where the mesh is. There's a clue. You can tell where the mesh is by seeing that this is the way it looked a second ago, by seeing that there's the shader is on the same game object as the mesh is. And in this case, Ellie is a skinned mesh renderer. So I wanted to show why you don't just naively put a mesh collider onto a skinned mesh renderer. Notice the green mesh isn't lining up with Ellie. So if we look around, we see it's not lining up. And then we can see even more closely. Let's grab one of her joints and let's move her elephant tusk down. And then let's go back and look at Ellie and notice Ellie's mesh renderer has animated, but the collider mesh did not animate. So you don't use mesh colliders this way with a skinned mesh renderer.
With a boned
rig. With a boned rigged skin mesh renderer.
You use it without the rig.
So let's go back into Ellie and let's remove the mesh collider component. So what you would do is you need to put simple colliders on each joint. So like if you really need more colliders than a simple round box collider, so what we do is we come out here and here's a joint at the beginning of at the front of the mesh. So let's say we want to have a collider for the trunk. We want to have a collider for the trunk there. So the way to do that is we get the same bone from Cinema 4D. They're called joints, but it's the same idea. You get this bone for that section of the mesh, and then you just put a simple collider on there. So let's.
Did you right click on the joint? Yeah.
Yeah, I right clicked on the joint, and then 3D object, and let's just put a capsule there. So there's a capsule. We've got a mesh renderer and a collider. I put them both on there on purpose. You really don't need the mesh render portion. I just put it on there so that you can see better. So whoops. So you can see. So there's the collider. Let's move our view a little bit here. Okay. Okay, so notice that's good. Notice watch when I grab the joint and I go to animate it.
When you select the joint.
When I select the joint and I go to animate it, see, notice the collider is going to move with it.
Oh, so it attached to that.
It attached to that.
Nice.
Okay, and now to make it a real collider, which is invisible, we just turn off the mesh renderer, and now we've got a collider, which you can see there. It's a little bit big. We got to resize it a little bit, but that's not a problem. So we would come here and resize it.
To the right menu.
In the transform menu.
Click
and drag to resize it.
On the height.
On the height and on the radius. And then when we actually come here to render, notice the collider follows
Aww.
follows the tip,
The nose.
the tip of
The trunk.
the trunk.
So cute.
So then we would keep making these colliders all the way down the chain. So
the colliders are so that the character doesn't run through the object, through the element.
yep.
Why don't you play it and let's see if we can jump up on his nose and try to at least bounce back.
Oh, okay. Then let's try playing it.
So we click the arrow at the top to play the game or to put it into game mode.
Okay.
Now we can run the character over there and
Run
see
the
it.
character over there and jump. Looked like we ran into it, but yep, we ran into it. It's pretty high up there. Oops, we hit our head on it. I saw that.
So if she was bigger, then yeah. And that's a great way of putting just colliders on the legs so she can run under.
Yep.
And still run under the character to some degree, but not, or the object, and not go through it.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. So there you've got it.
StarFluke.com.
StarFluke.com and colliders.
Unity colliders.
Unity colliders. Bye-bye.